strongest sensory is the smell, so I'll always remember your smell, Jim.
Okay, let's talk about finishing up the next,
It's your bus.
this week, next week, and the next. And then you will have Thanksgiving. Y'all realize we're down to 3 weeks to this, okay? So we are going to look at neuro first. So pull out your little calendars or whatever you want to write down. I guess y'all agreed that we're going to do that brachial plexus exam, that 30-question part of the last test on Thursday. So that way we'll have that over with, so that's gonna be good.
And it's just gonna be 30 questions.
It'll just be 30 questions over the brachial plexus, and the other 40 questions are the lumbar plexus that we've already taken. So that test will be put together to make up 100 points. Okay,
It says 30 questions.
30 questions. On November 11th, we will do some diseases.
Who's covering it?
Pardon?
Who's covering it?
Some of them, yeah. We won't have time to do all of them, we'll have to cover the rest of them in, rehab.
We're just studying, all right?
Test? Is that a procedures test?
No, we're in neuro right now.
Okay.
We're not in, I hate teaching all these two classes at the same time. But anyway, I mean, it used to be worse. I used to teach, in the spring, I taught you medical office management, psychosocial aspects, and rehab. And it was crazy, because we never knew what class we were in. So it's better than it used to be, but this is, okay, so this is just neuro. On November 6th, we're gonna do the rest of exam 4, which is brachial plexus.
Is that the scenarios like we did last time with the cervical for the
Yes.
sacral and the
Yes,
lumbar?
yeah, it's very similar to the other part, to the lumbar part. November 11th, we're going over diseases. November 13th, Richard Snipes is going to come in and talk about acute care therapy. He does an excellent job. November 19th, we will review. Actually, we probably ought to have the test that day.
For what?
Your comp. We ought to have neuro on Tuesday. I mean, y'all can have it whatever day you want that week, so what do you want to do?
Are we gonna have,
That is finals week. November 18th through the 22nd is finals week.
well, are we gonna have a procedures final too? Maybe if they was different.
Yeah, we're gonna have a procedures final that will be
Which
comprehensive.
day are you gonna do that?
It doesn't matter. Y'all probably just need to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right? So that week, we'll just schedule finals,
Okay.
okay?
So we'll do neuro on Tuesday and procedures on Thursday?
Well, we better just wait. That's fine with me. I don't mind doing neuros Tuesday and procedures on Thursday. That would be fine with me.
Monday the 18th.
Yeah. Whatever dates those are, that week.
So when's our next procedures test?
We're in
It's
for procedures.
Thursday.
And I guess you're gonna do bills on Monday and Wednesday, that's the deal? Bill and Kindle's, okay. So we're doing neuro on Tuesday, and we're doing procedures on Thursday for the final that week. And you will have a week out for Thanksgiving. You are not to do anything crazy that week,
I'm gonna go freaking jump
so
on
that you can go to clinicals on December 1st and have all of your bones well, and just walk in and be rested up and have a great week for Thanksgiving
I'm
when you
not
go to
a problem with
clinicals.
that, 'cause I tend to get sick on holidays.
I kinda remember that from last year. Okay. So is that okay for neuro? Everybody kinda knows where we're at with that? Okay. I'm not gonna review for the neuro final. I will let you have your tests back, or open up those tests. But I don't think I'll review. I feel like y'all really covered this pretty well, so I don't know.
I'm more worried about review for procedure.
Yeah. So
I don't know
we'll,
what you want us to look at.
okay, so are y'all ready for procedures?
Never.
Today we are doing sensory testing, which is fairly simple. On Thursday, we will probably do a few diseases. All of your disease questions will be on the procedures exam and not on the neuro exam.
All of the what?
Disease questions, so whatever diseases we we cover. We're gonna go ahead and do Guillain-Barré, Parkinson's, MS probably. But they will all be on the procedures, but we will do some diseases in neuro. But all of the disease questions will be on procedures. Okay, then on on Monday, we will start our lab practicals.
So would they?
And we will probably do, the majority of them that day, so I need some of y'all to be able to stay after 3 and let's get most of those done.
That's on the 11th?
That is
On
on
the 10th.
the 10th.
So do we need to wear our khakis and our
Yes.
black collared shirt and bring our
Yes.
lab coat?
Yes, you don't have to do a lab coat with me, but I do want you to look nice.
Okay.
Then we will finish up lab practicals on Tuesday for PT.
And what all are we gonna have on those, that
Are we
part?
gonna get a list
You will
again?
have, kinesiotaping, ortho rehab, and that's probably all you'll have.
Will we get a list again like you did before?
Of your patients, you mean?
Mhm.
Yes, I will give you a list of patients that you'll have to treat. But remember, I want you to treat them well. What exactly did you do in your kinesiotaping lab?
We just
Watched
watched
it.
it.
Y'all did not do it yourself?
No.
I've been experimenting at home.
We probably need to practice a little.
Probably.
So y'all know how to facilitate and how much length and all that stuff goes on there?
We need some practice.
Yeah,
He just showed us.
yeah, if you don't put your hands on it, it's different than just watching. He's really good though, get as good as him.
How's it doing now?
Okay, so we will,
What do you want for the ortho rehab?
I want you to take me through a complete program for a total knee and a total hip, and I'll tell you at what level those knees and hips are.
Oh, a little bit.
So then are we going to do our final on November 20th?
Yes.
For procedure?
So
we'll
we have an
exam
exam
on
on
the
the
13th, on the Thursday.
Yes, you'll have your exam on the 13th,
And then our final on the.
and then the final on the 20th. So the exam will be over kinesiotaping, ortho, any diseases we cover, wound care, and film scores.
So kinesiotaping, ortho, fin scores, and what?
Any diseases we cover, wound care,
And the sensation you're doing today?
and the sensation, yeah.
How many hundreds of questions do you anticipate that gets?
On wound care,
On the exam for next week?
we'll have 50 questions on it,
Okay.
and I'll tell you which ones we'll do.
So we will review for that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
We put a review on Thursday,
for the kinesiotaping part of the test, are we just supposed to read that piece of paper that Kendall gave us? Cause that's all we've had on.
Yeah.
Like, we
I-
don't have.
What I want you to know is how much you stretch it for facilitation versus inhibition on it. I want you to, there's not a lot of that information that, what all these
Does
teachers.
it matter too on that which way you stretch it for facilitation and ambition? That-
You go-
Bill said
Yeah,
it mattered.
yes, because whether you go from the origin to the insertion or insertion to origin, yes. Yes.
I can't remember what.
So will we review then for, our Thursday, the 13th procedures test on Tuesday, the 11th?
We're probably gonna review for that procedures test on Thursday,
On the 6th?
this week,
Okay.
because we need to get those lab practicals in there. So we will review, I will be ready to review for that test on Thursday.
Okay.
So bring all your stuff. And I'll have the test completely made out. It's pretty well made out, but then you'll have a breakdown of what's on each one. Did y'all get all your questions right on your film scores?
we can go over it
You'll pull those out, we'll go over them real quick. On the exam, you will be able to have your 3 pieces of paper for your transfers, gate and stairs, so you'll be able to have those out. You don't have to memorize any of that, so please bring them back, so I don't have to make other copies. Make sure you bring them to the test that day.
Is that something that you're gonna give us, or do you already have it?
You have it.
Okay.
It's over, it's the 3 that I handed out, and it was the divisions for the transfers,
Okay.
gate and stairs.
Okay.
How to grade those, because that's the only ones we'll spend any time on.
Oh,
There will probably be at least 10 films on there. So just plan on 10 of those. Okay, we ready? Number 1, we're not ready? You don't have it? Okay. We give y'all too many pieces of paper, don't we?
Yes.
Um,
All right, thought I've looked at the book, I'll take the paper. The book is scary.
Hey, Jerry, you know those handouts that you did give us though on the, total hip replacement, program?
Uh-huh.
We got 2 of those, but we didn't get, a knee.
It's pretty much, you talking about that home program?
Yeah, those
It's
2.
pretty much the same stuff for the knee.
Okay.
You're just gonna add your range of motion components.
Okay,
And I think we discussed that in class quite a bit, so I hope y'all took some notes.
okay.
I just happen to have that home program. I think it's a really nice one. I didn't make it, I stole it from someone, but I think it's.
You stole it from me, but I don't know. No, I got it.
What we're looking for are the film scores.
I was looking at the wrong book.
On the, procedures exam, are you gonna do like you do in neuro and go all the way back to cardiac rehab, or are we just gonna strictly?
From the midterm. Oh, you mean, can I throw some in there? Yeah. It's always open for, there'll be a few review on there,
Okay.
but don't spend most of your time on that. Save that for the final. I don't know how many there'll be. I have to look back at that test.
It's on the PowerPoint.
It looks like there. And y'all did it at the end of class. In class on Thursday.
You and Chris need to go.
No, just go ahead.
Okay, number 1 is a 5. Great.
got it.
Number 2 is a 4. Number 3 is a 4. Number 4 is a what? 1.
Requires 2 people, that makes
Right.
that one right out the gate.
Right. And number 5 is a 6. Number 6 is a 2. Because you're distant.
I put 3.
Is that, but it's only 100 feet. So that makes it a 2. So look at your number of feet. Remember, they have to be 150 feet to get over a 2, right? Number 7 is a 1. Because of the limited distance. Number 8 is a 6. Number 9 is a 1, because of the limited distance. Number 10 is a 5.
Number 2 or 4, just because they require minimum assistance.
Yes.
Is number 8 a 6 because they use the wheelchair to help them?
Yes, it's always if they have a wheelchair, they never get a 7. So they're always a 6 with a wheelchair, no matter what. It's always considered modified independent. Now y'all know, as you look at modified independent versus independent, and modified independent is if they ever use assistive devices, and then independent is without assistive devices.
What was 10?
10 is a 5. 11 is a 7. Oh, yeah, we'll do all these. Okay, I used to make y'all do a lot more.
So, we had 3 on number 3.
Okay. The CVA patient requires no lifting for sit to stand, but requires balance assistance once in standing to do a wheelchair to bed and back transfer. Why did you put a 3 on there? Balance assistance is minimal assist, and that's a 4.
Yeah.
Anytime it's just, now if they had to lift them up, then you go to a 3. They had to help lift, but if they're just assisting in balance, and you don't have to do any lifting, then that's a 4.
What's the 3 sheet you said you're gonna let us have?
The transfers, the things that you did this off of, transfers, gate, and our locomotion, and stairs.
Oh, I didn't use that, I used the
You got
fire.
UDS on the bottom.
That's okay, but you're gonna need those 3 sheets unless you can do it off the top of your head. But yeah, PowerPoint's fine, that's fine. But you'll need those for the test, but the PowerPoint won't be there for you to look at, nor, up here. Okay, we through with that? Everybody okay? Okay. I want to show you, this horrible picture here, because I want you to realize how important numbness is and how awful it can be. Isn't that gross? Doesn't that make you hurt?
Wow.
I worked with an amputee about 10 years ago that worked at Remner or one of the places, and she stuck a tack in her foot. She had neuropathy. She was a diabetic who never took care of herself, which is real common around here, by the way. And she had a tack in the bottom of her foot that she never saw. Got horribly infected, continued to work on it, for about a week before they found it. And she went in and they were gonna clean up that wound, and she lost half, her whole foot, except she was she just had her heel. So, she was able to bear weight on her heel, but she lost her whole foot because of that tack. And so what you need to be aware of is diabetics really have no sensation in their feet. So what do you see with diabetics? What's the term when they don't have sensation in their feet? Neuropathy. And so most of them will lose sensation just up maybe to their knees. It starts out in the bottom of their feet, and then it moves up, and it can move up into their knees, and even up higher into the hips. But when they're getting up into their hips and in their hands, their time is probably short. They're dealing with a lot of probably kidney issues, they're going blind, they're pretty severe diabetes. That's what I've found. Most of them below the knee, if they haven't been amputated, is where their neuropathy is. When I'm checking for dermatome neuropathy, which is what we're fixing to do, how am I gonna know whether they have an orthopedic injury to their back versus neuropathy? How am I gonna know that?
It's gonna follow a certain pattern.
Right, yeah, an orthopedic injury is probably just gonna be on one leg, one side, right? If they have it in both feet, what does that mean?
Better check this now.
It's more systemic is a good word for that. So that would be a diabetic neuropathy. The other neuropathy that I'm seeing consistently, I'm seeing a lot of old people with neuropathy that don't have anything that makes them have neuropathy, like smoking, drinking, diabetes, anything. My mother has it in her feet. But there's a number of people who have it. The other people I'm seeing with it are chemotherapy patients. I've seen neuropathy all the way up to the hips and all the way to the shoulders on a chemo patient. And why? Why is that? They literally have so poisoned them with the chemo, to kill that cancer, that they have a lot of really continuing symptoms of that. And so sometimes you do get some of that back, not normally, but they do seem to improve in motor function. But they do have neuropathy. So what are you going to do with someone with neuropathy in their feet? What kind of education are you going to give them?
check their feet.
Wear-
maybe.
tell them to wear
shoes.
They need to wear, they don't ever need to wear sandals. The ladies need to give the sandals up. They
Not
need to
trim
wear a
their
full
toenails.
shoe.
Yeah, don't trim their toenails.
Yeah, they really shouldn't be trimming their toenails. Well, you know, that's more of an issue with the diabetic, someone with regular neuropathy. But if they're starting to have toenail issues where they're getting thick and everything, they really do need to have someone do it who knows what they're doing with the right kind of clippers is actually the key to that. Because literally with a diabetic, you could cut a toenail and cut their skin and they could lose their foot. That's why we don't do it. You don't want to cut somebody's toenails as a professional. You want to send them to a foot doctor. And the Medicare pays for diabetics to have their toenails cut every 3 months. So, yeah, pardon?
3 months?
About every 3 months. Well, they don't grow fast. They don't grow fast. They grow ugly and yucky, and some of them don't hardly grow at all. But, they don't grow very fast in a diabetic. If they're at a point where they need the foot doctor to do it, podiatrist, the rotary term. But anyway, this literally can happen to people, is what I'm telling you. I saw a paraplegic that had some type of a machinery on his toe, and he lost his last 2 toes, and he never felt it. Got involved, it got into the machinery, and he could have lost his whole foot before he would have felt it, except he'd have felt that pulling at him, right? But he lost 2 toes. And so you really have to remember, I think I've told you about the guy from Alamogordo who drove from Roswell, New Mexico to Alamogordo, and he had on a pair of those parachute pants, and he was a L2 spinal cord injury, got into the very hot seat with those parachute pants on, and he had 3rd-degree burns on his butt. So sensation is a big deal. And it's a very big deal for you to be aware of, because probably the thing that you're gonna really need to be aware of is hot packs. What is one of the precautions for hot packs? If they have limited sensation, then you need to be very careful. And a lot of your elderly people do. Diabetics really do. And you know what? Diabetics, I'm pretty careful with diabetics with modalities, because some of them do really weird things. Let me give you an example. Kendall is working with a total knee patient right now, and she's been a diabetic about 15 years. She has neuropathy from the knee down. She also had a bunion surgery recently, and she broke that same ankle. She does not have sensation from the knee down. She now has foot drop on that leg. And it's starting to come back. But where in the world does the foot drop come from? So I said, do you remember if you had foot drop before the total knee? She's about 5 weeks out. She has great knee range of motion. She's not very strong. But do you remember? She couldn't tell me if she had the foot drop before. Does that tell you how bad her neuropathy was, maybe? Well, and there's just some drug issues there. But I think I would know if I had foot drop before. But I hope y'all would. But some of your patients don't. So we don't really know. I've never seen foot drop caused by a total knee replacement, never. I've seen it by a total hip. That's a possibility with a total hip, because they go in very close to that sciatic nerve. And they a lot of times will get that common perineal section of the sciatic nerve. So that's not uncommon.
Could that foot drop, though, be a part of incrementally losing your muscle strength
Yes,
due to the neuropathy?
yes, I think
So
it's
it's not
part
all
of
at once,
Yes, yes.
it's just slowly.
Yes, I think that is what happened. It's been interesting, because she's probably, of course, Kendall's working with her, but she's probably improved from nothing, like I'd say maybe a 2-, and she's at least a 2+ now, maybe even a 3. She didn't have full range against gravity, but she probably has, maybe 75%. So she'd still just be a 2+, right? Have y'all had all that?
A little bit.
Not the pluses and minuses, just. they're
So
one.
a 4, she's a 4+.
Okay, this might be a silly question, but with her having the neuropathy that she has with the foot drop, would you do something like NIMS on that muscle, or since she had neuropathy?
If I did NIMS, I would be right there with her.
Okay.
And I would monitor her closely. I'm not quite as worried about the NIMS as like a hot pack or something.
Okay.
But I would monitor her. I would not leave them with E-stim without, because they can't, that's when you have to kind of know what you feel and what's normal for most people. We were talking about, you know, your TENS units, once you get them up to about 4, that's kind of where you're gonna feel it. So if they take up to an 8, they don't have good sensation there, you might not wanna use that, you know? So it's just kind of, you just really have to be careful with sensations, what I'm telling you, mainly because they're not aware of it. I've had people, diabetics, who'll tell me, oh yeah, I feel my feet, they don't feel a thing. 0, you could cut their toes off, they wouldn't know. That people lie to you a lot, by the way. They don't mean to lie, but they want to be the best they can be, and so they'll tell you things that are not true. So that's why you literally have to do sensory testing on them. A lot of times, I want to show you all the different ways of sensory testing, and probably this is used mainly in rehab, where you might do a sensory test on a spinal cord injury. Of course, your neurologist will use this extensively. I'm going to tell you the main thing that I use is I mainly use sharp dull. I do occasionally use temperature. Of course, we do light touch, deep pressure with sharp dull. We're going to go over all these. And then you can do stereognosis. And so we're going to go over all these, but just be aware that, and then proprioception. You're pretty aware if they have good proprioception or not. I evaluated a stroke patient yesterday, and she's going to be lots of fun. I hope we get to bring her in. I was going to go, she's a pro bono, and she's going to be really interesting because she has no sensation in that arm, but it's completely flaccid. And she's ambulatory, but needs a lot of strengthening, has a little bit of foot drop. But that arm, she has no sensation and she's very unaware of it. Whenever you have a stroke arm and it's still flaccid, that's actually a good sign, because sometimes that motor function just comes back. When it's real spastic into a pattern, then that's kind of a bad prognosis. But I think that she'll actually get movement back, so it'll be interesting. I hope we'll get to treat her in January. She should be fun. She may be so good by then, she really looks like she's gonna come out. She also has the aphasia. Okay, so, go back to sensory testing.
So did you give us that paper for neuro, and we're just using it for this stuff, or?
This
Yes.
is for PT procedures.
Okay.
We're talking sensory.
Yeah.
It's just that neuro kind of falls into all this stuff now, hopefully, for all your patients. Okay, so this is neuro. This is procedure, yes. Okay, so for sharp dull, one of the things that I've used before is on your little reflex hammer is a part on the end that is sharp. You also can use the end of a paper clip. You can pull down a paper clip. I've used that before, and just use the end of it. And what you want to do is follow dermal tone patterns. So normally what I'll do is I'll go to the bottom of the foot, and I'll do the big toe. What am I looking for on the big toe? L5 if I'm doing an orthopedic injury. I'm going to do the bottom of the foot, like right in the middle of the front of the foot, right behind the metatarsals. I'm going to do the heel. I'm going to do the left and lateral and medial malleolus. And then I'm just going to do sharp. And what you do is you have them close their eyes. A lot of old people can't keep their eyes closed. A lot of kids can't keep their eyes closed. So you literally might have to put a blindfold on them, or have them hold their hand over there. And so you just ask them, is this sharp or dull? And they should be able to tell you that. And if they don't feel it all, then that would be your sharp dull. On the back of this little thing is kind of a dull thing. Another good part is just the eraser. They should be able to differentiate that. So y'all I want you to do this on the side of your foot, not on your hand, because where's sensation really good? In your hands, and it is good in your toes, by the way. But go ahead and do just on the bottom of your foot or the dorsum of your foot, and do a sharp and a dull, and see what's normal for you. Okay, so here's the sharp dull for you guys on this side. And here's the sharp dull for you. So take your shoe off and do a sharp dull. You can do each other.
Can I do you?
Pardon?
Is it okay if I touch
That's like do him.
Well,
Is it okay if I do?
Can you explain again the orthopedic neuropathy and diabetic?
then that big toe's gonna be numb. And quite frankly, they're gonna tell you,
Yeah, well,
I'm a big toe. If you have an L3 compression, which is what, you didn't meet Dow Wilson, but he was the guy that came in here and we did hot packs and stuff and some stretching with him. He was numb on his anterior thigh, so what did that tell you? Where's the compression on him? L3, and that's what the MRI shows. So see, a lot of sensory stuff will tell you that kind of stuff, but if it was on both sides, what would that tell you about him? Well, probably that he had involvement on both sides, but that would be rare, by the way. That would be very rare. With neuropathy, there'll be, and that can be any type of neuropathy. They're gonna be numb in both feet. They'll be equal on both sides. They're not gonna be just numb on the left side and not the right. So any type of systemic neuropathy, which would be your diabetic neuropathy, the chemotherapy neuropathy is on both sides. If they're numb on just one side, then what are we gonna look at? We're gonna send them to the hospital if they start having numbness on one side?
Right.
Yeah, because they're probably having a stroke. They may do that. If it follows where they're numb on their whole arm and their leg, right? What if you start seeing numbness on the side of their face? What are you thinking of? Bell's palsy, so would that just be one-sided?
Yes.
Yeah, it would be. And so you kind of want to send them on. Anytime you see something neurological, you need to send them to the ER. They need to be checked out no matter what.
But Bill was saying too that sometimes, when you see it both two-sided, then that's kind of a bad indicator as well.
Well, if it comes on quickly, and one day they just have, numbness in their feet, they need to go to the doctor, right? But if they're diabetic, are you gonna be quite concerned about a neurological situation?
No.
If it was a 10-year-old that was healthy before and all of a sudden their feet are numb, you gonna send them to the ER? Yeah. So, you look at those situations.
Pen just magically appeared on my desk.
Didn't use that pen on my foot. It was in
Or a
his shoe.
stroke,
I'll never-
because that would be like one-sided.
Yeah,
And
but it was-
remember your cranial, or you might say peripheral, let's say peripheral instead of orthopedic, maybe that would be the better word. Peripheral, like if you just have a dermatome numbness, that would be a peripheral nerve situation. If you just have numbness on one side of the face, that'd be a cranial nerve, and that would just be one side, right? What if they're numb all through their face? What you gonna do? Send them to the ER, something's going on. Well, it may just be that, but if it was a trigeminal nerve, it would just be one side, right? So that's sharp dull. The way you do sensory, temperature is you're gonna do the same places, and you're gonna put cold ice water in one of them, and then you're going to get, hot water out of your hydroculator with your hot packs. And so then you just touch this and say, okay, hot or cold. You want to do it?
I have a question, if they can pass the sharp dull, will they pass the others? If
you're,
use some sensors and keep the others, or do you notice that?
sometimes they'll have sharp dull and they won't have, or they'll have deep pressure, but they won't have sharp dull.
Okay.
Normally the sharp dull's the first thing to go, and that's probably why I do it the most.
Okay.
Sometimes they do lose temperature, so anyway. And if you were doing a spinal cord injury, it would make a difference, right, on those guys, but I'll go fill this up, I'll be right back.
Me too.
I'm just ready for Thanksgiving break.
Hey, is that shirt because of what's on TV or just a shirt?
Just a shirt, some freak show, I guess.
There's an American Horror Story freak show.
No, it's a football or whatever, you say somebody's a stud athlete, they say he's a freak,
Oh, okay.
but,
Well, he's trying to say he's a stud.
no, mine's more mental freak show.
I'll go with that. Actually doing pretty good on both aspects. freak, he's a freak.
Super freak.
By Rick James. Super freak, super freak, super freaky. And then that dude got busted for putting some chick in his closet, him and his wife were sexually abusing him, like months. They were locked in a cage, and he went to jail for that.
Imagine.
And he was like Eddie Murphy's best buddy there for a while. And he's the one that produced Eddie Murphy's song. Whatever.
Okay, do that on your foot again.
So would you always follow the dermatomes with this?
Pretty much I would. On the feet, if I'm looking for diabetic neuropathy, I usually do the bottom of the foot and the front. I do the heel. I do on top of the, kind of on the big toe on the end. I'll do the dorsum of the foot in the front and the back, and then I do the malleolus. And then I'll do, like the calf in the front and the back. And then I document on, actually usually on a stick fit on a person with the calf muscles where that is.
What is it that a doctor uses when they hook the bottom of their foot?
They usually just use the end of one of these.
Oh,
I
okay.
just- Sometimes they'll use like the bottom of a reflex hammer that's not flatter than this. I've seen them, but they just take it across the bottom, or they might even use their thumb. But a lot of times they'll use something like this. Okay, we got great. Light touch and deep pressure. You can do, light touch would be, on the other part of this reflex hammer is a little bit of this type thing that's just across there. And then deep pressure, again, you could use the end of a pencil. Proprioception, to judge their proprioception, I would probably do some of the Berg with them. I would just be able to maybe have them even sidewalk to see how well they're able to put, and usually I'll ask them, do you feel that foot under you? Do you feel that leg under you? And just kind of, no, I'm sorry. Let me show you how to do that. With proprioception, it's really easy, especially with the arms, because you're going to have them, turn around here, my little patient. I want you to mimic me, what I'm doing. You're going to close your eyes, and you're going to mimic me. So, mimic me with your other arm. So see, that's arm proprioception. So she should be able to feel where everything is. So you want to start the
She got 2
shoulder
out
and
of
go all the way
5.
out. Pardon?
She got 2 out of 5. Is she gonna be okay?
Go to the hospital.
And you can
Kathy.
do that in the lower extremity too. And so that would be your proprioception.
That's pretty cool.
Stereognosis you just put different coins in the hand and they should be able to determine a nickel, a penny, and a dime, and a quarter. We talked about eye movement, and probably what I would have them do is look someone in the face and have them look up, have them look down, have them look to the left, have them look to the right, and just watch their eye movement. What are we looking for? Any nystagmus, any kind of weird tracking, like they can't look to the left. That happens sometimes with a stroke patient. Then have them look peripherally out to the side. Have them tell you where they can see where their peripheral vision is.
How would you document that?
Peripheral vision is within normal limits on both. If it's the same, do yourself and just kind of say, decrease peripheral vision on the left in the upper quadrant, lower quadrant.
Okay.
2-point discrimination, we talked about how much closer it is. Like on your finger, I literally can differentiate those 2 points. On your back, it's almost like a 3-inch difference. So that's why you do not have good sensation on your back at all. Your best sensation's on your lips, but your fingertips and your toe tips have the best. So literally, you could put those that much together and you know that there are 2 points there. So you might try that on each other's back. I always think it's interesting where you put it on someone, you say, okay, can you feel those 2? Literally that far apart, they can't tell the difference. It's kinda like when you think, oh, when someone's trying to scratch your back, you can't find the spot,
Yeah.
that's the reason. So they have to keep, I mean, they really have to move wide to do that. Y'all might try that with each other.
We used to write letters on each other's back and
Uh-huh.
try to tell what letter they wrote.
And that did, it was hard, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Was, hi, nice to see you, stuff like that, that kind of letter?
Yeah.
The kinesthesia is again part of proprioception where they can mimic the movement. So they can do the same on both sides. And then, I don't have a vibrator, but normally with vibration, you use one of those tuning forks. I don't know that I ever test vibration, but you can do that. And then, texture recognition, you would just have those types of textures.
Yeah. Warm one.
And again, I'll tell you where you would use every bit of this is in your hand rehab. If you were a hand therapist, you would test all this. You might use it pretty extensively in spinal cords. So sometimes you really do have to do a complete sensory test, but normally it's sharp dull.
Like texture, you have them like feel sandpaper,
Yeah,
real
it's
slick.
different, yeah, something
Like
really
silver.
hard, and then I would probably have them do a wash rag.
Okay.
And then something smooth like silk, where they could tell you that kind of stuff. They use a tuning fork, I just didn't have one, and you just touch it to them and see if they feel that. And the way you test them, okay, I'm gonna either make this vibrate or not, you tell me if it's vibrating or not. And then you do the difference.
She said that.
A tuning fork, I just don't have one.
All right, I wanna know who did the salt joke, all right?
Salt,
Well, you taste it. Here, little girls, you want some
So
water?
anyway, does that give you some ideas about how to do sensory testing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, but you just use different textures like silk or, maybe a wash rag, sandpaper's good.
What'd you say, what would you use for vibration?
Vibrating tuning fork, if you ever seen one and you can just put it,
You use the sharp blunt post.
that's the one I use the most.
That's what Bill, he used on the lady the other day. He ended up using a pencil, cause no, he couldn't find a paper clip, so he used the sharp of the pencil and then the eraser.
What did she show? What did she have?
She passed everything.
But she was fine, she didn't have any symptoms.
Next class period, bring your vibrators.
What did he test? What areas did he test? What was wrong with her?
Ended up being just, she had went to her, she went to her daughter in like North Carolina, just had a baby and had to help the daughter too. Just bending over and straining, so she just kinda strained.
So she came in for cervical. What did y'all find out on her? Did she have any sensory problems at all?
No.
So she was fine. What about motor?
Just sensitive, you know, she could do range of motion, but she had pain. Wasn't limited in any range of motion, but she had pain with the upper,
Okay.
you know, in full flexion and stuff, she had pain. And so we did,
For what?
Let me see it.
Anesthesia?
No, I can feel it.
Movement
We go to the
sense.
hospital.
Yeah, like you had them move, see, to mimic their arms.
Feel right where it is,
Yeah.
on my lower back.
Yeah, it's kind of. Okay,